out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes. Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vine, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a new river thing. Virginia Tech fire, rapid pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as a valley, breaking it down. No dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk. Feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone.
Sure that we're on. Can anybody see me? I think we've got issues today. And that sucks because we have a really good show lined up for you. So
He's got the scoop.
can anyone see the picture? Let me turn this damn song off. Hang on. Because now I'm frustrated. All right. So there's a lag. It looks not right to me. Okay. So folks can see and hear because it all looks weird to me. And I wonder how this is going to affect our guests. But anyway, we will jump into it and see what happens. It's a Monday. It's a Monday, just like any other day. That was a Foreigner song, remember? All right, good. All right. Something's not right. If y'all can see me and hear me, I guess I'll go with it, but this doesn't look normal. Y'all can't see what I see, but things are not right. Unless, of course, StreamYard decided to do something that they shouldn't have and just completely change things without telling me. But this does not work like it's supposed to, or at least what I'm used to. It's extremely distracting. But anyway, if y'all are claiming you can see and hear me, then we'll roll with it. But something's not right. Something is definitely not right. It's weird because the whole thing flipped for me. It's like I think StreamYard screwed with the mechanism. So now it's just like, but I got no warning. So I'm walking into it for the first time. And now here we are. But this is going to be weird because I don't feel like anyone can, if I can't hear and see myself, then it's going to be weird. But okay. God, I hate when stuff changes. I hate when stuff changes and you're not prepared for it. That's exactly what's happening this morning. Coming up, Phil Elmassian joins us. That's at 6:20ish, and I guess I'll test that out. Things are not right with this system today. I pay too much damn money for this kind of thing to happen. So now I'm pissed off. But anyway, Phil Elmassian joins us today. Marty Smith from ESPN and the coach Steve Ragsdale scheduled in hour number 2, but at this point, who the hell knows? And then Todd Grantham. So we got a lot going on today. It's the monthly appearance of Marty and Rags. Got him in just under the bell. Today is March 30th. Hit us up and chat. McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Also on our professional door BDST text line. And I don't feel like I'm broadcasting to anyone. I feel like I'm just out in space with the way this whole thing's being presented. But this is odd. Very, very odd. No, Morris, I didn't see your opening. Chat looks weird. The picture of the shot that I see is not right. So, very odd stuff indeed. Very odd stuff indeed. Let's see if I got a notice of some kind that things were not going to be correct today. Nothing. Not a thing. So no, Morse, I did not see it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the show like this. This is weird. This is very strange. So I used to have a screen. And now I've got like this weird sideways. It's just bizarre. And I don't know I haven't had time to fix it. But I guess as long as y'all can see me, it's okay. But why the hell would they do this to the host? Why would they do this to somebody who's paying money for this mechanism and without any kind of, hey, you might want to get in there and here's how you adjust, because this is strange. But anyway, We will do the best we can, I guess. Let's hope guests show up on here. Who knows? So who knows if we'll have our wonderful array of guests that we're supposed to? I don't know. I have no idea. Yes, I do now see it, Morris. From D.C., where UConn in the second half was as hot as pancakes off the griddle, yet Duke couldn't hit a bull in the ass with bass fiddle. Yeah, that's exactly right. Everything's working great. I've gotten used to the mechanism. We've had issues in the past. Things go badly, and then all of a sudden, this happens. Whatever this is, it happens. I don't know why companies decide that they need to change things. I mean, this thing was fine. And at the very least, and I'll tell you this about StreamYard, the very least is you can't get a hold of anyone. Like, you can try, you might get some reaction, but they didn't help me last time. When TLB somehow got caught up in the bot removal, I tried to get them to help, and they gave me some stupid thing to do, and I did it, and it didn't help at all. So I got a feeling this would be the same thing. If I reached out to them, but in any event, if y'all can see and hear and it looks normal to you, I guess we'll roll with it. Phil Elmassian scheduled to join us. We'll see if he can actually come on. Duke is out. And Braylon Mullins, that was that's about a 32-footer that he hit. I don't know what Boozer was doing. I feel like everybody's lost me. You've lost me, haven't you? And also, it sounds weird. It doesn't. Nothing is like it's supposed to be. Let's just put it that way. Absolutely nothing. I'll just keep going. I'll just keep going. I don't even know what the hell's going on, but I'll keep going. But, when you have to work all day, you don't really have time to sit here and try to figure this out. But I will write it won't matter because there's no customer service line. It's one of those places that doesn't have a customer service line. There will be a email sent that will not have very good language in it. But we'll do our best and try to keep rock and roll alive. So Duke loses. I don't know what Boozer was doing. You just hang on to the ball, right? You just hug it. They have to foul you. There's under 8 seconds, 6 seconds, whatever it was. He tries to throw it over the top. They deflect it. One pass back, and then the kid makes a long shot. And Duke is out. A complete, just absolute. I had a 19-point lead. Both Carolina and Duke each had 19-point leads. And they both lost them. How about that? Now, the blown 19-point lead helped cost Hubert Davis his job. John Shire won't have the same fate. But, leading up to the Final Four result, we hadn't had a lot of great games in the Elite Eight, right? Arizona, Michigan, Illinois able to beat Iowa. They're the one shocking team that's there. So we needed something, and we got that yesterday with UConn. I know something is not working because all of you are watching, and it says that the views are, I don't know if they're disabled or what, but it still says there's no live viewers. But if you're watching me live, there has to be live viewers, correct? So that's another thing that's kind of weird. Unless you're all not alive. Did we all somehow? Is this going to be like the Sixth Sense? Is that what we're doing? Are we all just seeing dead people right now? That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. But the Duke is out, so we did have some excitement anyway. Otherwise, it was a pretty boring Elite Eight, I thought anyway. Let me go back to the scores here. I had baseball weekend, so I didn't get to watch a whole lot. Yeah, I mean, Michigan beat Tennessee by 33. Illinois beat Iowa by 12. Arizona crushed Purdue. So really some But now you got Illinois and UConn and Michigan and Arizona, and it seems like Michigan-Arizona is going to be the de facto national title game. You never know. But I'm telling you this, when you look at Arizona-Michigan, it feels like that should have been a final, right? That should have been a final. That shouldn't be a national semifinal. That should be a final. That's what that should be, but it's not. So, you know, the Final Four is what it is. No ACC teams. People will watch, but this is kind of an underwhelming spectacle for people. Michigan, Arizona will be a good game. We don't have any dogs in the fight left, you know, around here. But that UConn situation was amazing, absolutely amazing. But any event. Joining us now on the program. Let's see how this goes. Coach, how are you? Coach Phil Elmassian. Can you see me? Are you hear me? We're having all sorts of problems with the damn studio this morning.
You're good. You know, it kind of reminds me of when I was coaching during a game. I always thought of this quote by Dwight D. Eisenhower. I went to that World War II museum in New Orleans, and there's this big quotation on as you walked in there. It said, greatest plan for invasion in the history of mankind till we hit the beach.
It's kind of the way I felt this morning.
Welcome to the world. Welcome to a game.
Yeah, that's what this is. This is like,
when you thought you had a great plan, like I told Frank during the Boston College game, this is a bad plan, and they're not executing it very well.
Well, you're going to be.
You're
okay.
Good, Rick.
All right.
I'll be your. You know what? It's always good for me to go first to be your guinea pig. I'm used to that.
Well, you're traveling a little bit later today, right?
Yes, I'm driving down to North Charleston and go to Hall's Chop House for dinner tonight, and then get up in the morning about 3:00 and hit the airport, fly to Atlanta, and then to Albuquerque.
And then you're out and about all week. And then when are you going to UAB? When are you going to be with Todd down at UAB? When's that coming?
April 14th, around that time, that week of the 14th. I'm driving. It's only an 8-hour drive, so I'll drive, spend 2 or 3 days with him, and come back. And I'm really looking forward to the New Mexico visit. Never been to Albuquerque, like we mentioned before.
Yeah, you'll love it.
I got a call. I heard from the D coordinator, Spence Nowinski, who known for years, decades, and helped him elevate in this business. And he has done a great job. He's been a D coordinator at Miami of Ohio, Ohio U, Memphis, and now New Mexico. And every time he's gone in there, the defenses have always been in top part of the conference and some national stats, and they won. So he's done a great job there. I really believe this. I never mentioned this to him or the head coach, Jason Eck, who played for us at Wisconsin. The AD at Wisconsin was also an offensive lineman now, and Jason Eck was one of our offensive linemen. I hope things go well for Lou Fickell, but if they don't, and things go well at New Mexico, he'll be considered to be the next head coach at Wisconsin. And he'll have Barry Alvarez's blessings to do that. He's wanted because he is a head coach. He's taken Idaho and New Mexico, two really, inconsistent, poor programs, turned it around. So I'm really looking forward to it. And Todd had mentioned, I said, well, what, I said, what do you want me to do? Get coffee, wash cars? I mean, I'll be your GA for 3 days. He goes, no. He said, we're going to have you talk to the staff. And I mentioned to him how I think it's important to kind of, it's not like when you go in and clinic or talk to coaches. I know when I attended them, as much as anything else, I was hoping to be reinforced what I initially, had been doing. Like, oh, well, great. Hey, I do that too,
Yeah, right.
Or you learn something, you learn something that's going to give you an edge in terms of, particularly in the evaluation aspect. I think I mentioned to Spence, I said, I think it's not a matter of right, wrong, good or bad or mistakes, but I know I have in my experiences have taken the evaluation in a two-part scenario in terms of the football player. Number one, starting with athletic ability, and what I would consider football athletic ability before I evaluated the position to make that decision of whether this guy's going to be productive. Could he be an All-American? Could he be all-conference? Could he start for us on a winning team, 8-9 winning team? Can he make a contribution? You get to those four categories, not only with your current roster, but your incoming roster with portal in high school. So I always started out with, okay, and I always evaluated from the feet to the head, and hopefully now there's things that, you don't know as far as their, I don't have a lot of information sometimes when I'm looking at these kids, and I will have those questions. I'll put them on the sheet. But, the first thing I look for is ankle flexibility. That's the very first thing. You go watch, if you ever go watch a Radford basketball practice, go watch a practice, just look at their ankles. Tell you everything. They'll give you how they can transition to their top end speed and change their direction. Because if you see a guy that goes heel toe running, heel goes first, then the toe, or their feet are totally flat on the floor as they're running, that doesn't mean they can't play, but boy, they're going to have some deficiencies in terms of acceleration and change the direction. That will affect those two things tremendously. And the ones that have that.
I was going to say, how long, Coach, when you go to a practice like that, when you're out of town and you're coming in, how long does it take you to watch and then get a vibe and feel like, okay, this is the way it's supposed to look, like in your own mind? Okay, this is. How long does it take you to kind of recognize that?
Yeah, great question. Like I said, when I go to practice, the first thing I'm going to watch is I love watching drill work. I'll watch your drill work, and I'm going to watch your. I have specific drills that I did that can evaluate all that and really give you a lot of information. But I'm going to watch your ankle. First thing I'm going to look at is their ankle flexibility. Be able to, I call it, are they on the front half of their foot? They're not on their toes, but all of a sudden that heel strike, it's not necessarily a heel strike, but all of a sudden you see that flexibility from the front half of the foot to the back half, where you can take your toes and point it to your chin. I'll get to my William and Mary anatomy class, the dorsiflexion of your ankle, and the athletic guys have that. When you see flat-footed guys, it's so that's number one. Then you're watching, how do they? I don't care what they run as much as how do they run. Their stride length which then leads to hip flexibility. I'm going to watch length, arm length, legs of their length. I like. For DBs, I like short torso guys, long leg, long arms. I don't want to see a long torso, the body structures. And there's a huge difference in that. So if I'm watching Radford basketball and I'm evaluating as athletes, and to say, hey, I think I can make a football player out of this guy. Those are the things I will look for.
You ever sit? I mean, I wonder what it's probably happened at some point. You ever just got to a practice and you like disagreed with what you were seeing, and you felt like,
oh yeah,
this isn't right.
No, well, it's not. It's not a matter of right and wrong. It's just a matter of, there's 24 hours in the day. You can't crap the 25th hour or 26th hour. Your toughest opponent you have on your schedule is time. And everybody has the same amount. So who's using it constructively and who's using it the best in terms of detail and efficiency? Who's more time efficient? And, you look at Curt Cignetti, I think I've heard him talk now, listening to some podcasts and he on talk shows, and Nick was the same way. It wasn't the amount of time, it was what you're doing with the time within the time frame. And so, I'll go out and I'll watch a practice and I'll go, this guy's wasting his time doing this drills. You do a drill, you can only do but so many drills, because after a while you can get better at the drill, but that doesn't mean you're still a better player. And I'll watch some drills out there and I'll go, oh, this is a waste of time. So yeah. And if they ask, I'll tell them, if they ask, I'm not going to.
Well, that's what bring you back. They want to hear that. You don't want to just be like,
oh, no doubt. A lot of people
like great job, right? If you see something.
Yeah. I think a lot of people appreciated me, whether it's, staff meeting, clinicking or conversation with coaches, and especially the pro scouts. They really, that mine was always the last person they'd want to talk to, because they know I was a truth teller. I consider myself a truth teller. I'll tell you what I saw, what I see, and not necessarily what I've heard and read. I'm going to tell you what I see. You ask, I will tell you. And a lot of times, especially some head coaches, they don't like the answers. And next thing you know, you're getting your ass ripped.
Why do we bring him in here? Yeah.
It's not a matter. It's like, that's what I would tell them. I say, hey, you asked the question. You don't like the answer. Sorry. I've been in those meetings before. And then it finally got personal towards the end, and I told them a sticker where the sun don't shine. And the thing, people ask me, would you do it again? I said, yes.
Oh.
There's no right or wrong, but you ask a question, I'm giving you what I know, what I see, and a lot of times some of them just don't like the answers.
Don't like the answer. Yeah, usually that's the case.
You know that, Rick. You've probably been involved in that some point in time in your life.
Yeah, people ask me stuff all the time at school. I mean, at school. At Radford, a lot of the younger people talk about their situations. I guess they know I'm going to tell them the truth. So, sometimes you tell them the truth. This is what I think. This is what my life experience says. And then they're like, what? I'm like, you ask the question. Don't ask me the question. If you don't, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. This is what I think. And sure enough, usually what I tell them ends up being the truth. They find out later on. But, hey, don't kill the messenger. You asked. So I get it.
In my younger days of growing up in Boston, and I'll use my Boston accent, we called it the hard truth.
I like it.
So that's what we'll be doing, and like you can measure. How do you measure foot quickness? People say, again, I'm watching Radford basketball team in a practice, or I'm going to go watch a football practice. When he's, especially with linemen, I'm watching the second step. Everyone's going to take a first step. The first step is critical and it's got to be right, but it's the second one that follows the first and has to be as fast, if not faster. So the second step is what gives me, okay, what kind of foot quickness does this guy have? All of a sudden, when I start seeing blur of the feet, I can't read what kind of labels on their shoes or stripes, because the second step is so fast. I don't know if they're wearing Adidas or Nike.
Right.
Because the second step is the quickest. I'm 75 years old and I got a pretty good first step. It's that second one I got some issues with. Right there. So that's another thing, and then, the other thing for is your body, like Nick used to call them coffee grinders. When I can see when they're running, particularly, when you see that armpits and those elbows are swinging, you're losing speed. You're losing efficiency and speed. So you don't want the coffee grinders. You want to see a compact body, particularly with DBs when they're transitioning, whether it's away from the ball or to the ball. You don't want to see arms and legs start separating, arms start separating. You got issues. They're just. Think about gymnastics, Rich. I came from a high school that had a great gymnastics program, one of the earlier ones in the 50s and 60s in Massachusetts. A lot of the Springfield College influence of the phys ed teachers, but gymnastics. I dabbled in it, gymnastics. And you talk about great athletes. They are great. The gymnasts are the greatest athletes. As you talk about absolute body control in space, doing things with their body that you go, how in the hell can they do that? How about it's not can they do it? It's how they got to do it with all the falls and tumbles and the knees and elbows and all the problems you're going to have coming with practice, because it's hard. And then you get that efficiency where you do it so much. It's funny, the last show we talked about failures. I talked about a failure in athletics. One thing I used to do with players, particularly if they had laces on their shoes, not sandals, I'd call them up and have a guy call up, take a knee, and I say, untie the knot in that sneaker. And he'd untie it. I said, now I'll tell you what I want you to do. When I clap my hand, I want you to close your eyes in front of the whole, whether it's DBs or D coordinators. When I clap my hand, I want you to close your eyes and lace that knot in that shoe as fast as you can. And it's amazing how they can do it so fast with their eyes closed. They don't have to look. They don't even think about it. They just do it. Right? You can do it. I can do it. I'm 75 and I can tie that sucker with my eyes closed pretty fast. And then I'd make everybody stand up and give them a standing ovation. I said, that skill, that's a skill that you had to learn through failure.
Sure.
Your goal was to go out and play. Okay? Somebody taught you how to do that. Okay? Over, under, around. Someone took your hands.
Sure.
And you kept coming back. I can't do it. And they showed you over and over. You kept failing it over and over. And you finally did it enough, but you got so good at it, you can do it in your sleep. You can do it in your eyes closed. So I said, this is what we're getting to in terms of the game, how you're going to play this game, that it needs to be that efficient through a lot of repetition and a lot of failure. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to tie that shoe where eventually you can tie it and do it with your eyes closed. You can play this game, this position with your eyes closed. So that was always something I would do in terms of failure is good.
Right.
The only way you're going to really achieve success is through failure. You cannot skirt around it. So that's just the philosophical stuff that I'll go over with these coaches.
What did you see in footwork yesterday at the end of the UConn Duke game?
My wife thought I was having a heart attack. I mean, listen, here's the crazy thing, Rick. Think about it. Down by 19 points. 19. Have no control of this game. Duke's got absolute control of the game, playing their butts off, doing just use and abuse. It looks like, and then all of a sudden, and I learned something yesterday in basketball because, I've always heard, let's get this thing to single, one basket you don't get 19 points for one basket. We got to chip away at this thing, and they had enough time to do it. You look at the 5-minute increments that as soon as that second period started, look at the first 5, what's the score? then the second 5, what's the score? Then the third 5, and the fourth 5, and all of a sudden, by the time they got to the last 5 minutes, it's a 7-point game. And exactly where you need to be in the game. It's like, let's not be in the second half. I've always said 10 points. Come on, give me a 2-score scenario, a touchdown, a field goal, and it gives us a chance. With 5 minutes left, if I can get that thing down to a touchdown, a field goal, we got a chance. And so, that was amazing. What an amazing, the kid that, all of a sudden they get the ball on a turnover and that kid takes that shot, hope and a prayer. It's like, the Duke Kentucky game, same thing. There've been about 2 or 3, or Valvano's NC State championship team, Lorenzo Charles.
Yeah, that's right.
There's 3 big, huge basketball games, big moments. Leitner, this kid from Lorenzo Charles Leitner, and then now this kid from UConn. It's going to know. It's like you're going to always remember it.
Always. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's amazing to see how it'll carry it into the Final Four. That emotion. That's a draining. Wow. Now we'll find out what kind of coach this guy is. I'm sure he'll humble him in a hurry. Get their feet back on the ground.
Well, Coach, appreciate you jumping on. You got a lot of coaches on today. You got yourself. You got Coach Ragsdale coming up. You got Coach Grantham later. My goodness gracious. What a Monday.
It's a coach's show. It's a coach's clinic. Wow. All football guys, too.
That's right. Exactly.
That's awesome. All football guys. Well, I appreciate it, Rick. And no, you're doing. I can see you. Everything's good to go.
Yeah, I'm rolling with it. Yeah, I'm going to have to figure it out. We have to shut it down and when we're done and get back in here at some point today or tonight and check it out before tomorrow and see what's going on. But all of it's fun. Yeah. Improvements. They actually say, the game started. I don't like the conditions, Coach. I got out of here.
Improvise and adjust, baby.
The headsets aren't working. We can't relay the plays like we're used to, so I got to figure it out.
Hey, that's why you're the quarterback, man.
I'm looking over at you going, baby. I can't. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing right now.
All right, my friend. Look forward to listening to the rest of the show. You take care.
You too, man. Have a safe trip, man. Please be safe. And looking forward to hearing about it. All right, man.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It's going to be fun.
It will be fun. You're going to be blessed. All right, Coach. Take care of yourself. That's Phil Elmassian. The coach, Coach Elmo. Good stuff. Yeah, I got a feeling he'll be very honest with anybody who asks him anything about, hey, Coach, what do you think? Well, you want to be honest? This is not what you should be doing. The coach, Steve Ragsdale, Marty Smith coming up here in about 15 minutes. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. All right. Thanks, everybody, for helping me to calm myself here today with the way things are kind of shaping up in the studio. It's very strange, very, very strange. But nonetheless, we're here. The thing that bothers me the most is that things that I had up and ready to go with terms of our banners had to be rebooted while Coach Elmo was talking. So I lost a lot of stuff here, but we're good to go. We're good to go. Sundown Electric, our latest sponsor. They have a great reputation, a long list of satisfied clients. Talk about their superior craftsmanship, their attention to detail, communication, honesty, and integrity. They're down in Elliston. Reach out to them today. Congratulations to the Smith brothers, and thanks to them for all of their help. Ready, Set, Fun is Bob Christ, BOBCRST11 at Gmail. And check out how they can raise immediate funds if you need them for your high school team, your summer league rec team, whatever it might be. They just raised $4,300 for Floyd County girls softball. Now, we mentioned we're going to have Marty and Coach Rags coming up, and that's presented by Farm Bureau Insurance. So that's coming your way here in a little bit. Travis Williams, Professional Door Incorporated, residential, commercial garage doors, family-owned and operated, 38 years in business right across from New River Community College, and the sponsor of our text line. National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of BDST here on YouTube. I got to spend some time down there today because they're my exclusive banking partner. The attorney, Ryan Pry, our BDST fan question of the week, 701 West Main Street in Radford, Trust and Estate Planning. Final four, huh? I think CBS is now like, we just lost our ratings cow, right, with Duke being out. Little River Heating and Air, 295 Radford Street, 540-553-2971. Go see Charles Lee today, and it looks like we're going to have some warm weather. Time to get your air conditioners checked and make sure it's with those guys. I'm going to ask Jonathan Sweet to come on this week. BDST presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Another great weekend of racing there at the track in the New River Valley. Mark Hunley, McClellan Chiropractic, sponsor of our chat room. And Mark is the best at what he does. Go see him, 155 Walters Drive. You got a back issue, you're not feeling right. If you need to get adjusted, Mark will take you through his vast array of brand new equipment. He'll assess your situation, and you will be good to go. And, of course, our studio is sponsored by Family Fencing, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. The NRV Super Bowl has served the community for over 25 years, 382-5525. And now that you're in the Final Four next weekend, spend your time over there at the Super Bowl. They're going to have the games on. They're going to have some deals for the Monday night championship game next week as well. And Lawson's Mobile Home Supply has been around since 1997. They have a lot of home parts for windows, doors, plumbing, 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. Give James a call at 540-381-8011. So there, good stuff. But yeah, the Arizona and Michigan, I still have those, and I didn't have either one on the other side, Illinois or UConn. And I think a lot of people had Duke winning the title. And, I'm not sure Boozer's going to – I mean, it's the NBA. But still don't think he's going to be a great pro. He needs to look like Keon Brown in the shoulders. He's awful frail through there. I don't know what position he's got. But you got to be smarter than that. You got to have game acknowledgement. You've got to understand what's going on. And all he had to do was hang on to the basketball. Just squeeze it. You're going to get fouled. You're up 2. And he saw the guy release and didn't get it over the defense. And the kid made a nice deflection. And the kid made a shot for the ages. Mullins made a shot for the ages. It's just unbelievable the way that game ended. It was a good moment, though, in terms of you didn't have any, rooting interest. It was a good – oh, my goodness gracious. That's right. This tournament is still alive, isn't it? What's up, Chris? Good to see you, man. What's up, Rodney? What's up, Hot Rod? But, yeah, it was very intriguing watching the meltdown by Duke. Really was. Coach alluded to the Leitner shot. That's the first time I can recall something like that happening to Duke at the end of a game like that. But Carolina lost a 19-point lead against VCU. Duke loses a 19-point lead against UConn. I mean, badness, just madness. And I think the best 2 teams are playing in the national semifinal, which – if it ends up being the winner of Arizona, Michigan, and Illinois, can you imagine if it's Michigan and Illinois in the final? Can you imagine? Just in terms of rate, all it is just like a Tuesday night in the Big Ten, and I don't know if that's going to have a lot of national appeal. Yeah. And that's what it feels like, T-Bird. Just flying blind here. New studio. Although I could see him, which is good. So that's the good part. I could see everybody. And I'm going to get the invites now out to Coach Rags, and to Marty. And then Todd Grantham will join us. And who knows what we're going to talk about. I just let those guys basically take the conversation in any aspect that they want, and then we just go. And we know we're going to hear a lot of good football, too, from Coach Ragsdale. All right, so the invites have now been sent. That's right. Neo officially gone. We told you that was going to happen. I had some people. I always get a lot of pushback on the text line later. Well, I heard you talking about this. You're wrong. Okay. We told you Neo wasn't going to be back. I don't think anybody's going to be back of any relevance, but, maybe that'll happen. Maybe they'll come up with some money and keep some guys. The only way they're staying is if they get paid. I mean, let's just stop with everything else. It's about how much money you're going to have to retain the guys you want. Neo didn't work out in Blacksburg. People trying to blame Mike Young. How about we don't necessarily look for people to blame and just say this just didn't work? I mean, Neo was not a guy that developed. Coaches did not necessarily know how to tap into that. It wasn't a good marriage. I think both sides equally failed. It's not one over the other, right? Maybe he gets it figured out somewhere else. Maybe he was overhyped. That happens a lot. A lot of prospects sometimes get completely blown out of the water. They don't always work out. You might be right, Rodney. You might be right that everybody will watch just because there's no football. That might be true. But yeah, that was a great play. Not a smart play, but yeah, the kid made a shot for the ages. There's no question about that. Also, one for the ages is that gentleman. He's the head coach, Steve Ragsdale. What's going on, Hall of Famer? How you doing?
Age is the key word here. I'm doing Coach, good if I could get my eyes open.
You look great. We're waiting on Marty. Let me ask you, I know you were watching. You coached the game. What did you think of the end of the UConn Duke game yesterday?
Well, actually, I wasn't watching.
Oh,
because,
okay.
My daughter, who lives in Roanoke, wanted to meet us, my wife and I, in Christiansburg for lunch yesterday. But I did just see it on Sports Center, the last shot. I couldn't tell whether there was any defenders beyond half court for UConn, and the only players down there were Duke players, or what exactly, where everybody was on the court. All I could tell was that the Duke player was double teamed and just tried to lob it kind of down the floor, and they deflected it, So, think about the odds of and then the guy hitting that long 3-pointer, and he's just a freshman, I think, right? So that was an amazing play, man. I'm telling you, heartbreaker for Duke, but somebody always wins and somebody always loses. But that was, I think, even more than the last shot, which was amazing, was the comeback.
Absolutely.
Down 15 at halftime, and to come back and win the ball game. It shows a lot of heart on UConn's part. But I didn't actually see the game live, so.
Well, it was a crazy shot. I mean, that's a long shot. That was a 30-plus footer, man.
Yeah. They talk about 30-footers. He had a 30-footer. Well, that was a 30-footer.
That was a 30-footer. What's your take, Coach, on the development of the three-point line? Has the game become too reliant on that? Did Steph Curry actually set the game back a little bit? Because when you were coaching and when I was playing, it was a little different. I understand it's great. There's some things that could change the game, but is it too relied on now by so many players?
I've got mixed feelings on it myself. Back when I was growing up in the NBA, you had guys like Jerry West and Oscar Robertson, and they used to talk about Oscar Robertson, how he would get as close to the basket as he could possibly get to shoot the ball, and he would just do that. And I can remember playing in high school. Our coach, Bill Pattison, who was a super coach, used to talk about, hey, we want to get an open 15-footer, or a layup. And so the 3-pointer, one thing I don't like about it for sure is it's turned the game into, you'll watch these games and they'll send 2 people down, I guess their best shooters, down into the corner because that's the shortest 3-point shot there is. And then the other 3 are out there playing 3 versus 3, and it's basically turned into a pick and roll game. They like talking about Duke. I was watching Duke and Virginia, I guess it was, in the ACC final, and Duke, all they did was the big Boozer kid. I forget his first name there, but he would have the ball around, out in the 3-point area and at the top of the key, and they would have a small guy come over and screen him. All right, and he would come over, or either that, or he would screen a small guy and force the other team to switch. And so there would end up on the big Boozer player, there'd be a small guy guarding him, and on the smaller player who set the screen or got screened, whichever was the case, had a big guy covering him. So it forced a mismatch there, which is smart coaching. But it's just turned the game, I think, more into just a pick and roll type of thing. But it's exciting, just like that play yesterday. That couldn't have happened in the old days. It has sent the game into overtime. So, I've got mixed feelings on it.
I mean, I like to see guys get hot, and it's cool when they can make a bunch of shots. But it's just everybody now, even the big guys, like to stay behind the line. It seems like too often,
Yeah, I agree with that. But something it does point out, talking about the big guys, used to be the idea was, hey, if you're, a big guy, you can't shoot from outside. Well, that's really not the case when you think about it. They probably couldn't shoot up from outside because they never got to shoot from outside. They didn't have to. They go down and get on the box and just work to get position. I'll tell you something, since you opened up, asked me a question.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things I don't like about what's happened to at least college basketball. It's probably the same everywhere. I don't watch the pros during the regular season.
No.
I watch them some during the playoffs. But is this just backing the guy down, these big guys, just backing the guy down under the basket. And it's got to be a foul. It's got to be a foul. He'll hit him, and you'll see the defensive guy bounce back. And then he'll hit him again. You lower his shoulder, and the defensive guy will back up a few steps. And I don't know all the rules and everything, but if think about it, if the defensive guy didn't back up when he gets hit, if he kept his feet stationary, he'd get knocked flat on his back. It's impossible to stand up with 2 feet that are parallel there and get hit with somebody's shoulder and not fall down. So he's got 2 choices. He's either got to, give a little ground, even though he's not trying to give ground, but you can't hold your own if your feet are like parallel. You need to have one in behind the other if you're going to hold your ground. But if you do that, you can't guard the guy. He's going to go around you. So this thing of getting the ball to the big guy underneath and he just backs his way down till he's right under the basket and then sticks it in the basket. And that's not basketball in my book. That's football.
Yeah, it does. It does
wrestling.
Yeah.
And so I don't like that at all. And I'm going to tell you another thing I don't like. It's kind of along those same lines. You never see the 3-second call in basketball anymore. Those guys go down there and they just park there. And I'll watch a game and I'll sit and specifically watch that. And it could be called numerous times in a game. And I don't think I've seen it called all season. And I don't watch a lot of college basketball like I used to, but I watch a good bit, and no 3-point call ever. And they're doing that thing I just talked about, and that probably takes them, if they get the ball around the free throw line, probably takes them 3 seconds to get down to the basket.
It does.
Yep. And so that's ridiculous. Those are kind of two pet peeves of mine.
I hate the 3-second thing. You're exactly. It's incredible to me. It's how they just let. And sometimes they'll just call it out of the blue. Like, oh yeah, there's one. We'll go ahead and call that one.
Yeah. And then there's no consistency there. But so I'm trying to think if there's anything else I dislike. The 3-point, like I said, the 3-point thing, I've got mixed feelings on that. But it does add excitement to the game. I guess the next thing, they'll add a 5-point circle out there.
Yeah, well, why not make it like where that kid made the shot? They'll start making it like a 4 or 5-point shot.
Yeah. And so the offense will just bring the ball up to half court and sling it, and practice will be all about every player on the team is back there heaving up 5-pointers. Yeah.
The one thing I do like, Coach, I do like the employment of the shot clock. Now, I know it's not mandatory, I don't believe, still in Virginia. Maybe I'm wrong. It should be.
In high school, you're talking about?
Yeah, in high school, yeah. I wish that were something that was universal as well in high school basketball. It had to be tough back when you were coaching sometimes, right? Teams were just holding the ball for a long time.
Yeah. Well, go. What brought it on was probably Dean Smith in the four corners down in North Carolina. I remember one year in particular, I don't know what year it was. And of course they had Phil Ford. He was the guy that was handling the ball all the time. And God, he was great.
Yeah.
And, but I mean, in the ACC tournament, which at that time, that was probably the only college tournament at the end of the season. There may have been one or two others. Maybe the Southern Conference had one. A tournament at the end of the season, but the ACC tournament was it. And it brought on all these other, everybody has a tournament now. And North Carolina, I think they won the ACC tournament the year I'm talking about. And I don't remember which year it was, but the scores were like 20-18 and 15-12, and of course there was no 3-point shot then. But
right.
Yeah, I think the shot clock is great. It makes them play basketball instead of play keep away, and yeah, I mean, these people are up in the bleachers in Greensboro. They always had it in Greensboro at that time, and they're there to see 3 great days of basketball. And when they're watching North Carolina, it's like 3 days of keep away.
What's up, Mark Dog?
What up, my friends? How y'all doing today?
Good, man.
Hey, Marty, how you doing?
I'm fabulous. I'm fabulous. Trying to figure out what country I'm in, what town I'm in.
You down in Martinsville yesterday?
I was not in Martinsville yesterday. I was right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I went to Ireland a couple of weeks ago. I guess last week. I don't even know when it was, but to do a feature piece on Rory McIlroy. Went to his home.
That's cool.
Man.
Home golf course that he grew up playing. His dad was the barkeep there. His mom worked third shift at a 3M factory, stuffing rolls of tape into boxes in order to fund Rory's career and the sacrifices that they made to make sure that their prodigious, son's talent was maximized. And now here he is, one of 6 Grand Slam champions ever, having won the Masters tournament last year. And we're getting prepared for that. I leave in 6 days. I leave the evening of Easter Sunday, next Sunday. And we'll go down to the Mother Church and bow at the entrance to the single greatest sporting venue on the planet Earth.
Pimento cheese sandwiches to be had, correct?
Yes, very affordable ones. That's right. In a time when, you go to a ball game these days, you're coming off the hip big time, man, for your concessions. But at Augusta, they still keep the prices super low, and you won't see a single label. There will be no branding whatsoever other than the Masters branding. And look, that place is very special. That place is the way that the membership runs the club is impeccable. And it's one of the only places left. And Coach, I'm sure this is something that sticks in your craw is anymore. We don't consume sports with our feet planted where we are.
Yes.
Because we're distracted by the iPhone screen. Everybody wants to get their little social media clip. But at Augusta, you can't have your phone. And that is a hard and fast rule. And if you do have your phone, we'll see you in the next life because you ain't coming back. But it is an incredible energy because you are genuinely immersed in the event with the people that you are there with, and you are watching this history, because every time you're at Augusta, it's an historic moment. You're watching this history through the film strip of your soul rather than through the screen on your iPhone. And there's just not a lot of places anymore where that is the case. And I just love, there's not enough superlatives for me to describe my appreciation for not just that place in general, but the blessing of being someone who gets to kind of bring that storytelling to the world.
Well, speaking of iPhones, you're talking to a public educator here.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Man, when, iPhones came in and the school administrators, they didn't know how to handle it. The teachers didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to handle it. And, it just opened up so many possibilities, some good, but most bad, in my opinion. You could have kid A in the back corner back there and kid B up here in the front corner. And if you were given a test, kid A could have his iPhone down in his lap, texting kid B up in the front corner how to do number 3 on the test, and
I wish I had that when I was in your class.
And worse than that was when you were trying to show them how to do something. You're up at the front, working a problem. I taught math, and one of them's back there texting their boyfriend, in the back room. And it just really opened up a can of beans that for the most part wasn't very good.
I always wonder how coaches today, because with social media, it's a lot of look at me in today's society. And that's something that you did not tolerate. I mean, even the slightest bit. We were a team, no matter if you were the best player on the roster or you were a contributor on the scrub offense. everybody was a part of that team and an integral piece of the overall success. There wasn't a whole lot of looking at me stuff going on, at least while you were watching. We might have tried to get it. I remember one time, Rick, you will love this story. All right, Coach, you may or may not remember this.
I probably won't remember because I can't remember my middle name anymore.
So in 1992, which was a state championship caliber football team, we should have won the state championship that year too. I'm sure Danny Ratcliffe and Stevie Steele and Matt McGuire and Joey Caldwell and all those guys that were seniors that year would agree. Melvin Williams, great players all. We lose to Lebanon, all right, at their place in the state semifinals. And Rayfield Milton was a sophomore that year. I was a junior that year. And we came running out of the locker room for pregame, Rick, and we had taken athletic tape, of which, because we were Giles High School, we had like 3 rolls for the whole team. And Rayfield and I had put athletic tape on, like spatted our cleats, like put athletic tape around our cleats. And we ran out onto the football field. And the second that we locked eyes with Coach, he went like, I won't repeat what he said, but he pointed back at the locker room and said, but you're going to go back in there and cut that off. And you're going to you are going to buy me new rolls of tape that you just wasted with your prima donna crap.
Hey.
And you were right, by the way.
Yeah, that's for sure. Going back to the phone thing, all right, a couple stories I'm thinking about here was how we handled that in football, okay, going to the games. Now, God almighty, this is something. I guarantee you, if you go to a college football game and you watch the team come off the bus,
oh yeah, and
they're all going to have their headphones on, and then, and this and that, and if you recall, when we were going to the game on a bus, and I think we tended in a lot of cases to play better on the road than we did at home. I don't know that that's actually true, but
that's an inaccurate statement.
We had a great. Well, no, I'll tell you why. Well, we had a great following on the road. It doesn't matter whether we played home or away. We were going to have a great fan base there. All right. But if you recall, I told you all when we got on the bus, hey, I don't want to see any headphones on. Yep. I don't want to see any cell phones. I want you doing one of 2 things.
Mental reps.
You either take a nap on the way to the game, because at the end of a school day, if you've done what you should have done in the classroom, you're tired. You've used your brain, if you've got one. You've used.
The jury was out on that for us.
If capital IF, if you've got a brain, you've used it a lot during the day, and you're tired. That takes energy. Okay, so take a nap so you'll be fresh. Okay, or if you don't do that, then you think about the ball game coming up tonight and get yourself mentally prepared. Go over in your own mind what you've got to do, what your responsibilities are, and everything like that on the way to the game. And I think it helped focus us to the task at hand. All right. Instead of, I don't know. I didn't like the idea of listening to music on the way. And the reason I say that, and the analogy I use, is I've been to Omaha Beach. All right. In Normandy. I've been there twice. And I was there both times at 6:30 in the morning on June the 6th, which is when the 29th Infantry Division hit the beach, okay, along with the 1st Infantry Division at Omaha Beach, okay? And I think You reckon those guys were listening to their headphones coming in on those landing craft?
I don't.
No way. All right. I guarantee you they were thinking about the task at hand and maybe throwing up and maybe doing some other things in their pants. Okay. Because they knew they were facing a life and death situation. Now, I don't want to come even close to, saying that a football game is like that. But I used that analogy in my own head. Football is, and I don't want to use the word, and I don't like this phrase because, again, it's completely absurd. You're not going to war, but you're getting in a fight out there, all right? Not physically with your fists, you better not be, but it's rough, it's rugged, it's aggressive, it's hitting, it's getting hit, all right? And we're not going to a party tonight. We're going to a football game. And when you hit that field, you got to be ready to go get them. And so I didn't like to see that stuff on the way to the game. On the way back, we win. Hell, I'll get my phone and my and everything like that. And
what would you be listening to?
One thing that took me a long time to learn, when I first started coaching, I'd sit up in the front of the bus.
Yeah.
On the front seat.
Always.
Well, it took me, I don't know how many years, but too many to realize the place I should have been was in the back of the bus, because from the back of the bus, you can see everything that's going on. You can't see it in the front of the bus.
Yeah, but there was just so much intimidation that for us, for guys that played for you, there was just so much intimidation that came with, all right, we're all on this school bus getting ready to drive 74 hours to Grayson County or somewhere.
That's what yeah.
I mean, Rick, what you got to understand is for us, Grayson County felt like Arkansas.
Sure.
And because we never went anywhere. Like we didn't growing up in Parisburg, we didn't go places. We're in Parisburg. So when we had a road game in Galax or Grayson County, or even more pronounced, a playoff game in Lebanon or Hayside or Grundy or somewhere, we may as well have drove to Pluto. and so getting on those buses and being back there in, whatever position we always sat in, we were a superstitious lot. A lot of kids
you wasn't superstitious. I assigned you a seat at the beginning of the season.
Maybe that's why we sat in the same place.
You had to sit in an assigned seat. I sat down before we took our first bus trip, and I decided who I wanted sitting with who.
Now, how did you gauge that? What was your philosophy on who sat with whom?
No, good question.
Shoot, I don't know everything that went into it, Marty. Maybe you got a lineman sitting with a back, so that the back and the lineman can get to know each other better, because they're kind of relying on each other. Certainly that offensive back is relying on that offensive lineman. So I interrupted you there. So go ahead on what you were saying. But I don't remember exactly how I did it. But I didn't want buddies sitting together, necessarily.
You just set a culture. You just set a culture that was understood.
Right.
We didn't have to ask. We knew it was not only established well before we got there, and certainly the guys that came after me, it was well established because you had won multiple state championships at that point, and the expectation was just understood, and the way you conducted yourself was understood, and the culture of toughness and togetherness and precision and preparedness and all of those things it was almost like they injected it in our veins in kindergarten. Or something, because we just knew growing up, if we were going to play Spartan football for Steve Ragsdale and Rusty Kelly and Jeff Williams, etc., that's what was expected of us. Now, that doesn't mean that as 16 and 17-year-old kids, we didn't veer, because we did veer. I remember distinctly, and wrote this in my book, Never Settle, when I talked about our football program in that book. I remember vividly one day we were doing field goal practice, extra point practice. And I was belly aching about wanting to be done with practice and go see my girlfriend or whatever I was belly aching about.
You didn't have a girlfriend. What are you talking about?
Coach, you don't know game, buddy. You don't know that Harrisburg game I had, buddy. But I was belly aching and moaning about
dreaming.
it. Yeah, I am dreaming. That's a fact, man. But Coach Williams was in charge. Coach had charged Coach Williams with getting our little field goal unit prepared. And I was down there bitching and moaning. And Coach Williams just all of a sudden was like, stop. You need to shut up. You have no idea how precious this time, this team, this moment is in your life. This is the greatest moments of your life, and you're too young to see it. So was I. But I would die. I would cut off limbs. I would do anything to go back and strap up one more time under those lights right down that hill and have the opportunity to represent this logo and this community one more time. And, you know, we're kind of like, sure, dude, whatever, man. Your bike, your pearl snap bike coaching shorts are too tight.
Yeah.
But he was right. I mean, he was right.
100%.
He couldn't have been more right. It was some of the, those moments. I was talking about that team a couple of days ago. I was down in Fort Worth on Saturday to do a keynote speech to thousands of cattle raisers in Texas. And the CEO of the company was up there with me, asking me questions and whatnot. And I was talking about how grateful I am that it was such a blessing to grow up in rural America, because we had an upbringing and an experience where you did strive to help your neighbor. You did understand what it is to get your hands dirty and work hard. And all of that was ingrained in all of us. And I am so full of gratitude for that type of upbringing. And I mentioned, you know, our team in that. It is rare, very rare in this life where we go and move and do so much so quickly. The here and gone is a millisecond, and relationships as a result of that become fleeting in many cases. I still talk regularly, if not daily, with 10 or more. I talked to Danny Ratcliffe last night, and I don't see him. Our daily interaction is not existent because he lives in Harrisburg and I live here. But I know if I call him, or if he calls me or asks me to call him, I'm going to call him. And that is all born and raised within what we experienced under Coach.
Absolutely.
Well, wait till you get my age, man. You and I'm serious here now. You look back on your life and the experiences that you've had, and the first thing you realize is life is fleeting. Life itself is fleeting, and it's I don't even know how to explain it, but the moments in your life that are kind of the highlights, you know, they're there in your brain, and you look back on them and you realize how important and wonderful they were, and still are in your memory. And you would, in a lot of cases, give almost anything to go back and experience them again. And you can't do it. You just can't do it. And so, you know what they say, that whatever it is wasted on the youth, on the young. You know, to some degree, it's true. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe while you're going through it, you just are having fun and doing it and everything like that. Maybe if you weren't, like, you know, kind of happy-go-lucky at that point in your life, maybe it would take away, you know, because when you get older, you look back on your youth and you say, man, what a great time that was. I wish I'd appreciated it more. Yep. Well, maybe if you weren't, you know, halfway out of your mind, you wouldn't have had as much fun, you know. So
true, very true.
Kind of a give and take type thing. I want to hit one other thing while I'm thinking about it before I forget it, that you mentioned earlier, Marty, I think, and that was the guys on the team who were not starters. Mm-hmm. All right. Much less, you know, stars on the team. I always had the greatest admiration for those kids that were busting their tail in and day out, knowing that they weren't, you know, going to play a lot, if any, on Friday night, you know, but I just don't even know how. I'm not going to mention names, but I was in my house this winter, and somebody knocked on the front door, and I went to the front door, and there stood this. Well, he's not a young man anymore. He's a middle-aged man or older, and he wasn't a starter on our teams, but he was there every single day, busting his tail, and you know, never missed a practice type of guy. You didn't even know he was there. He was just doing the best he could do, and what he did was valuable for the team, because you can't learn how to run your offense against thin air over there. Okay. You got to have some opposition, and the better the opposition is in practice, the better you're going to be on Friday night. And so he fit into that mold. He wasn't going to be a star on Friday night. He probably wouldn't even play on Friday night, but he was a darn good kid, and he did the best he could do, and he was out there day in and day out helping the team get better. So I invited him in, of course, and he had his son with him. And his son is he's a grown man himself. All right. And you know, we sat down and talked, and this player, you know, told me how much he thought of me, okay, and which I really appreciated. But I told him, I said, look, I think more of you than you think of me, because you accomplish so much by just sticking in there day in and day out. I'll take it to the last step. I said, what are you doing now? What you know, where's life taking you? You know, I've counted up how many players did I coach during my 30-year tenure as head football coach. And I also coached the 3 years prior to that, 8th grade coach. And I figure, okay, well, I figured it up, and I'm thinking 450 kids. All right, maybe give or take a few. All right. And I can't remember all their names for sure. I can't remember what they all look like, but I'll tell you one thing, I got a heck of a lot of admiration for them. All right. And I take it further than that. I love them. Okay, they've got a special feeling. I've got a special feeling for them. I always put young people that went through Giles High School in kind of one of three buckets. Okay, the ones that I coached, and I don't like to use the phrase who played for me, because they didn't play for me. They played because they liked to play whatever sport it was, either football or basketball. All right, because I coached both of them for about 10 years. Okay. All right. And so one of three buckets. The ones that I had coached go into bucket number one. I just got just a special feeling for those guys. Number two were the ones that I had in class. All right. But, and I took great pride in my teaching, because I always felt like that if a sport has no educational value, I think we talked about this in an earlier show, it should not be part of the high school setting. Okay. But I do think it's got a valuable place. All right. I think kids learn a lot by competitive sports, by participating in competitive sports. And then number three are the kids that are in the school, but I neither coached nor taught in class. All right. Now, going back to this young man I was talking about, I said, "Hey, what do you do? What have you been doing?" Well, it turns out he went in the Army, and he is trained to work on, well, he's retired now. He's no longer in the military, but he was trained to work on these long-range ballistic missiles.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
He had special training to go down in these tunnels down in the Midwest out there and literally work on these long-range ballistic missiles. I'm thinking, you're kidding me. and that just shows you what I was, the privilege I had to work with guys like that and guys like you, all right, who are going around the country talking to people about, like you're talking about down in Texas, and Danny Ratcliffe, and go on down the list. And, even guys that I had the discipline, I love them all. Okay. And it's just a special bond. But the point I wanted to make was that, they all have a role in life after they get out of high school. And like that young man, incredible. I'm like, I'm sitting there and I'm in awe of him, what he's done with his life, So that's that. But yeah.
But doesn't it say so much, Coach, that individual thought enough of you and had so much respect for you, for the way that you helped form our sensibilities and our work ethics and our approach to trying to maximize whatever gifts we were given, because we all have a different lot. Some people go into the military after high school and serve our great country. Some people go to college. Some people become pipe fitters, or they go into the workforce in some way, shape, or form. But all of us that went through your program, no matter how big of idiots we were, we had a very keen understanding of the incredible value of shared sacrifice, because that was the entire program. Is all of us, it wasn't somebody who screwed up. If somebody screwed up, we all ran that hill together because that person screwed up. we all were in that same energy all the time. And so we all entered whatever our postgraduate plans and experience were. All of us went into that with a better understanding and better preparation than most have, for sure.
Well,
and it says a lot about you that gentleman walked up to your door to say thank you and to share and offer his gratitude and to introduce that gratitude to his son.
Absolutely.
Marty, I going back to this young man, and I love nothing more than having the privilege of talking to former players. That I just love that, and so with him and others, I want to fill Rick in on, you referred to the hill.
The hill.
Right?
Post-traumatic stress
the
over
hill.
here, man.
Let me give Rick the story, the lowdown on that. Rick, when I was a kid, and my dad was the head football coach at Narrows High School. He started football there in the early 30s.
Right.
He was raised on a tobacco farm down in Eastern Virginia. And if you've ever been on a tobacco farm, even to this day, that is hard work. No mechanization. Everything's got to be done by hand. Okay. So anyway, my dad was the head football coach, and everywhere my dad went, I went, as a little kid, just growing up. He'd go down to practice, in August. I went to practice in August. Okay. And let me tell you what their practice consisted of. At that time, there was no 5 days in shorts. The first morning, which was August the 15th, I think they start practice too early now. This August the 1st thing is ridiculous. All right. When I used to go to the coaching clinic every summer, and they would emphasize, make sure you don't, let kids overheat. And I'm thinking to myself, well, move practice back to September if you don't want them to overheat. Don't let them be out there in the middle of August, playing football. That's crazy. And I still think that. All right. But anyway, I'm getting off topic a little bit there. So anyway, I'd go with my dad down to practice and watch his practice. So they go out August 15th in full pads. Okay. They do their lineup and do their calisthenics, just very similar to what we did, Marty. And then once their calisthenics were over, they lined up 11 on 11.
Wow.
And ran every single play that they were going to run all year long.
That's crazy talk.
First morning out.
Crazy talk.
All right. And they did that. And I'm going to give you one guess what they ended practice. The two things they ended.
One-on-ones. Line it up. One-on-ones. One-on-ones.
They went one-on-one.
And then they ran the hill.
Practice. And that was before they did what?
Ran the hill.
Ran the hill. All right. There's a hill. If you go down to Narrows High School to Ragsdale Field, named after my father, to a ball game, you'll see, the home bleachers over there on one side, and you'll see a concession stand up on the hill.
Yeah.
All right.
See it right now.
The hill that's below that concession stand is where Dad had his team run the hill. They started kind of down there in the corner next to the old high school, and they went up the hill to just right underneath what is now the concession stand. It didn't used to be there when I was a little kid. And then they came down the hill over there next to where the permanent concrete bleachers are. And they just made a circle around there. And I don't remember how many they would run.
Too many.
But they ran the hill. And I'm going to tell you, that hill is the best conditioner I think that there is. All right. And Rick, when I say run the hill, we had a very steep hill next to our field.
Does my heart good to hear you admit that.
And it was a very steep hill. Now, the hill I had the kids run was steeper than the one my dad had. It wasn't as long as the one he had, but it was steeper. And so they walked down one. And what I loved about the hill was it mirrored a football game.
Sadistic.
You walk down one side of the hill, and that's like getting up off the ground after a play and getting back in the huddle. Yeah. So you get down to the bottom, and so you got, some time to kind of regroup and get your breath and everything like that. And then you got to sprint. You've got to sprint up the other side. It's like a constant just circle around there. You walk down one side, walk across the bottom, you sprint up the other side. And what I like about that is you cannot defy gravity. Gravity is at work. If you're running laps, all right, which they've got their place, but there's no gravity involved. So you can slough off a little bit, running laps. But on that hill, you got to get from the bottom to the top.
In full pads, just for the record.
Full pads with your helmet on.
Yeah, of course.
And there's no cheating it. And that builds a lot of things, starting with character.
Yeah.
Okay. And stick 'em, toughness. All right. But it builds your legs, your hips and legs. And that is what you use in the game of football, are your hips and your legs. That's where your base is. He's going down to Augusta this week. You reckon Jack Nicklaus had strong quads and hips?
I do reckon.
And that,
we reckon.
Okay, the base of a golf swing are your legs. So that hill built those hips and legs. It built your heart, not just the physical functioning of your heart, but your heart, your stickum, your toughness. Okay. But it definitely built the physical, part of what your heart does, which is pump blood to your body. And that blood contains oxygen, which your muscles burn to allow you to play. All right.
Science.
And there was no cheating it.
No, there wasn't.
You had to get to the bottom to the top.
I think too. Look.
And after games, we had a little thing where I don't forget the numbers exactly, but we would start with a set number of times on the hill for the day. We run
penalties.
Yeah. Once we got into the regular season, we only ran the hill one day a week. Now in preseason, we'd run it every day.
Yeah, it was great.
Getting ready. During the season, it would be one day a week. And I think that was probably on Monday.
I think it might have been, Monday or Tuesday.
It was either Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah,
no
early
way it would have been Wednesday. That's too close to game time. So, but we'd start out with a base number, like let's say 5, okay? And then we would add to it for mistakes like turnovers or penalties, okay? That would be an add-on. Any penalty we had or any turnover we had, we'd add to it. So it might get up to 10, let's say. God, that's a lot on that hill, 10.
Indeed.
Particularly at the end of practice after you've done one-on-one.
Indeed.
All right. That's a lot. Okay. But so I thought, well, if we're going to add ones on, we got to give them a way to take ones off. All right. reinforce good behavior, punish bad behavior, reinforce good behavior. So if we forced a turnover, we take one off. I can't remember what else. Maybe I don't know. But so anyway,
I feel like knockdown blocks might have had some impact.
Yeah, that was we kept a chart. Coach Kelly did this on the board.
Maybe if it was a certain sum
of
knockdown blocks.
We had three things. And those kids would run to that bulletin board when they came in on Monday to see. We would chart three things: what we called knockdown blocks, and turnovers. Not our turnovers, but the other team's turnover. All right, if we turn them over, like let's say you tackled a guy and then somebody else recovered it. Well, we give the kid that forced the fumble a check mark, and the kid that recovered it a check mark. Okay, that's a turnover category. And then we always had a special teams player of the week that we just chose for doing whatever, and so we had ways that we could take some off of that. Let's say it was 5. And I think it was 5 we started with during the season. And so usually we'd probably end up running a few more than that. And that was after we did our one-on-one thing. And one-on-one, man, I'm going to tell you,
brutal.
That's where we made our football team. Right
brutal,
there.
Man.
We and I watched that with my dad's teams.
Rick,
it was
listen, here's what you got to understand. There's a couple points that need to be made here based off of coach's points that he made there. First of all, the hill. All right. Yes. It's obvious that the physical impact of that conviction to run that mountain every week was, we won a lot of games in the fourth quarter. We were better conditioned than a lot of our opponents. Maybe not all, but we weren't. We most of the time we're not going to be beat because we were tired. Number two, as important as the physical impact of that hill was, the psychological impact was twofold. It goes back to that value of shared sacrifice. And it goes back to, like, your mind in moments like that after we didn't pussyfoot around. We knocked crap out of each other in football practice. Like, we weren't, prancing around, running, 7-on-7. We were hitting each other. Our practices were hard. After that whole day of school that Coach talked about, which, by the way, he never acknowledged while we were playing, that we should be tired after a long day of learning at Giles High School. But the psychological piece of that, to reset yourself and know that you can't fake it, like he was just saying, in order to get up that hill in full pads, you had to want it. You just had to want it. And there's a resonant and residual effect of that has a very long runway when you get into November and you get into fourth quarters against really talented, well-coached, disciplined opponents that indisputably benefited us. But that does not mean that on Monday, October 3rd, we weren't cussing all the way up that hill, because we were cussing all the way up that hill. No doubt about it. But one-on-ones, all right, let me just paint this one-on-one picture for you real quick. This is what one-on-one is, okay? All of us section off into pairs. This is at the end of practice, all right? Very last thing we do in practice. We pair off and we get in a 3-point stance.
All right, now wait a minute. Stop before you go any further. You didn't pair yourself off.
I know.
The coaches, we paired them off.
Yeah.
I would go right down the list. I'd say, okay, Marty, you and so-and-so, you're together today, okay? Or this week. I probably would do it on a weekly basis because we did one-on-one every single day.
Indeed.
To end practice. All right. And Joe, and nobody was we didn't have our quarterback. We don't have a quarterback in our single wing offense, but we didn't have our tailbacks who very seldom blocked. We didn't have them, over there, lollygagging around, throwing the football back and forth.
There was no unity.
They were doing some form of contact. Now, I'd be careful with them because I didn't want one of them to get a shoulder injury, out there in practice or something like that. But everybody else
that didn't
was
apply to
doing
most of us.
one-on-one. All right. And so go ahead, Marty. Go ahead.
I used to hate it so bad because, I was 138 pounds soaking wet. I was a string bean. And I used to hate it because I used to cringe wondering what coach was going to say about who my opponent.
Well, now there's
Marty, Peter Janey. I was like, damn it.
I never mismatched a kid, somebody that was, small and maybe weak with somebody that was just going to murder them. I wanted every kid to have a equal chance in there, and I didn't want anybody to get hurt, although it's hard to get hurt when you're only a foot apart. Go ahead, Marty.
We would line up. All right, Rick, get in the 3-point stance, faced off against one another. They blow the whistle. You hit each other, and you drive your feet until they blow the whistle again.
Right. Yeah.
And that might be 2 seconds, or that might be, depending on whether we did it right or not, it might be 15 seconds.
Well,
and
few things in there.
It sucked in every single way.
First of all, we believed, and I believe to this very day, it goes back to those legs and hips.
Yep.
All right. Why do we do all those squats and stuff in the weight room? Okay. Because you derive your power from your legs and your hips. You don't block with your arms like I watch on TV every Saturday and Sunday. You block with your hips and legs. At least you do if you're at Giles High School, all right? Because that's what is stronger, your hips and legs or your arms and chest? It's a no-brainer. If your car breaks down and you got to push it to get it started, do you go out there and just stand there and push it with your arms? No. What do? You bend over so you've got a good angle. You don't stand straight up and push with your arms. You bend over and you use your hips and legs to drive that car. All right. And I watch this blocking on TV, blocking. I'll put that in quotations. It's not blocking, it's wrestling. It's holding and God, it drives me nuts. They'll hold for a few seconds and their first move is their arms go out so they can grab the defender. Yep. And before the play is over, they're turned around looking over their shoulder to see what's going on. Every time I watch that stuff, I'm thinking to myself, my God, I'd have a heart attack coaching that. If I caught a kid looking at the ball carrier before the whistle blew, you in big trouble. All right. And blocking wise, if your man is not on the ground, you haven't done it as good as it can be done. So we had a category, like I was talking about earlier, that we put up on a chart on the bulletin board for every game, knockdown blocks. And a knockdown block means your man is off of his feet. Hard to make a tackle when you're on your back and somebody's on top of you looking you in the eyeballs.
That's right.
All right. So I don't know why I said that, but anyway, go ahead, Marty.
What?
Oh, we were talking about one-on-one. So the one-on-one, you line up and your opponent is right across from you, and I'd offset them just enough so I didn't want them leading with their head. I want them leading with their shoulder, but obviously the head is going to be part of the contact, but I don't want them hitting with the top of the head. That's a point of emphasis. There were two things that I emphasized I didn't want to see. You don't hit with the top of your head because that's how you break your neck. All right. Your spine straightens out. And when you take that blow, it compresses things, and those vertebrae in your neck have got to go somewhere. It's kind of like taking a spring and pressing it together. It's going to pop out one way or another. And so that's what happens when you get somebody, hitting with the top of their head and they break their neck. And we don't want to see that for sure. So I never used, and coaches, we never use the word head. And I hate to hear these guys on TV, commentators say, well, he lowered his head. God, no, don't lower your head on a football field. And the second thing you don't do on a football field is let your feet stop moving. If you are standing next to the pile, flat-footed, with your feet planted in the ground, you're just asking for a knee injury. Somebody comes along to get in on the pile, so to speak, and they hit your knee instead. So two things you don't do on a football field. Do not lower your head, but that's the natural instinct, to lower your head. If somebody throws a baseball at you and it's going to hit you between the eyes, what do? Lower your head, all right? And don't stop your feet. Don't lower your head. Keep your head up. Keep your feet moving. Those are the two main rules, okay? And so going back to the one-on-one. So you're lined up and you're offset a little bit and you're looking at each other eyeball to eyeball. And Marty said something there that wasn't right. We didn't hit the whistle. We used our cadence that we used in the game, okay? Same cadence, given by the same person. Our blocking back, all right, would give our count, snap count, all right? And so we go on the snap count. And then at the end of that one, we'd say, okay, boys, well, it would work like this. On Monday during the season, we would go 3 times with each shoulder. One straight ahead, one at a 45-degree angle, and one at like a reach block where you had to take like a 45-degree angle in one direction, say with your right foot, and then block with your left shoulder. Okay. And all those were game condition things, because those were all things that you were going to do in a ball game blocking. All right. So we go 3 times with the right shoulder, 3 times with the left shoulder. On Tuesday, it'd be 2 with the right, 2 with the left. On Wednesday, it'd be 1 and 1. On Thursday, we wouldn't do it. Okay. And the coaches, there were at the end of my coaching career, where there were 5 coaches. We had 5 coaches, and we had a really good staff. Each coach was great, and they knew what their role was. Not just position role, but who's going to fix the equipment. We don't have equipment managers at Giles High School. I'm sorry, and so it helps to have somebody on the staff who can fix a helmet, if the buckle busts off. And so we had, each coach kind of knew his role, who was going to, And then most of the time they just did it automatically. I didn't have to say, hey, you're in charge of this and you're in charge of that. Who's going to pack the footballs for the away game on Friday night? I didn't have to tell anybody to do that or ask them to do it. They just did it. And I'm not mentioning names here because I don't want to leave anybody out or anything. All right. But so going back to the one-on-one. So we had 5 coaches. After each blow, bam, and they went on our cadence, but then they didn't stop till the whistle blew, just like a play in a game. All right. And I didn't want them down wallering around on the ground. We taught them, I want you coming off the ball. I want your back flat. Not like you see on TV where the first move is straight up. I want your back flat coming off that ball. And this is nothing but physics. Low man wins. But when you hit, I didn't want you to hit and go down. I wanted you to hit, and the force between both bodies coming together would automatically make you buckle. Like that. All right. So you would come off flat, backs flat, and bam, like that. It's like a wooden floor that buckles when it gets wet, and the individual boards expand and they run into each other and they buckle up. That's what I wanted. Not up and out, but out and up. Okay. And you keep your feet moving and driving the whole time. And okay, so when the whistle blew, then I would call on each coach. Coach Kelly, he would be watching, and the kids didn't know which coach was watching who.
Yeah, it sucked too.
All right, I could be standing on one side over here, and I could be watching Marty Smith over here on the other side. All right, Coach Kelly. What's your vote? Yay or nay?
Oh yeah, man.
Yay.
Oh wow.
Coach Williams, what's your vote? Yay. Okay, Coach Strader, yours. Yay. Coach Ragsdale. Yay. Coach Ellison. What was his vote going to be, Marty?
Nay. Do it
again. Nay. Okay. So 4 out of 5 were in agreement, but that meant that, and the coaches weren't watching the same.
It didn't count.
Two. So whoever those 2 were, man, they let the whole team down because that one don't count. We got to do that one again.
Again, the beauty of shared sacrifice. Everybody has to do his job.
You know,
Rick, it was like being on a jury trial, man.
That's what.
It was like being on a jury trial.
It was great, and some. So we might, we were going to do 3 on Monday with the right shoulder and 3 with the left, but it might end up being 10 and 10 or 5 and whatever, and. So that was those 2 things there, and they were at the end of practice. They were already tired, and doing that one-on-one, man, that's hard. That's hard. That's physical. It's physical contact. But I believe, and I got this from my dad, I think that taught kids contact. All right. But it was at a short distance, that we had them like the same distance they would be apart in a ball game on the line of scrimmage, at the most 2 to 3 feet, okay, in there in tight quarters. So no way, I never got a kid hurt. I can remember doing one-on-one. All right, because they got equipment on and they're close together. Now, bull in the ring, which I did that one time, and I lost a kid with a shoulder injury for the entire season. And I thought to myself, and we've talked about this one on the show before, is, God, that is just stupid. Yeah. When are you going to line up a 220 pounder, which we didn't have many of those, and on a 170 pounder and let them run from 10 yards apart and hit each other. You're just asking for an injury. That don't happen usually on a football field. You know, it happens some, but not much. So anyway, that one-on-one and that hit that hill, man, they were tired and worn out, and those were good physical conditioners. And it wasn't just conditioning. It was you're particularly with the one-on-one, you're learning your technique there, and you're learning how to hit, what it feels like to hit and get hit. So you get used to the contact. And you might have some kids that are like a little bit shy. I mean, on a football team, you got it's a full spectrum. Not every kid is out there because they love to play football. You know, most of them are, but that varies. I mean, some of them, I could sit here and name who they are, were just loved it. The contact and everything about it, the grit, the everything. But then on the other end of the spectrum, there were guys that were kind of, I don't know about this now, you know. Maybe they've never come out for football. And we tried to get kids out, you know. We didn't expect kids to come out that, you know, you may never played football before. God, I had some super players that we got out their junior year, and they spent that whole year getting run over top of. You know, they'd be over there on defense against our offense. And when we drilled our offense, it was live, everything except we wouldn't let the backs be tackled to the ground. All right. Well, those guys over there on defense, say you got one of them over there that's never played football before, but they hang in there the whole season. And then they go home at the end of the season and they think it over, you know, and they think back to what they've learned and how it felt. And they come back their senior year and they're a whole different story. And now they may not be a great passer or something like that, but you don't have to be able to pass to play nose guard. We had kids that played nose guard for us that were tiny, but they were quick and they were agile and they would chase that football relentlessly. And that's all we needed from our nose guard. I had some kids in there. I remember one kid, I'm not going to name names on this, but he could run full speed while he was 2 feet off the ground. I'm not exaggerating. He could motor, you know. So we put our nose guard in there, head up on the center, and he was either going to slant right or slant left. Occasionally he'd go straight ahead, but mostly he was slanting right or slanting left. And his job was to beat that center and make that guard in the direction he was slanting block him. So a lot of times the idea was to tie up both of those players on the opposition, the center and the nose and the guard, because the center didn't know which way that nose guard was going to go. So, you know, he was trying to play the run to the right. He's trying to step to his right and reach block him, so to speak. So anyway, God, I remember we had some nose guards that, and I told y'all a story about one there was nose guard over at Christiansburg. He ended up playing pass defense.
Right. Yeah.
Excuse me. But we had some, I mean, they were relentless. They would chase that ball from sideline to sideline. So that's it.
So I know you won a couple of state championships by 1 point.
Yeah, I think about
know
that.
If you ever lost a game on the last play, if you're John Shire,
oh God, yeah.
If you're John Shire, what do you say to your team when you've had control of the game for the, you know, for 39 minutes of the game clock?
Well,
and you lose that way. How do you reconcile that?
I'll tell you something I learned the hard way Marty, as a coach, you've got to learn as you go through things. And I learned a whole lot coaching from year to year, evaluating my performance, and I learned this, and I think it's a good rule to have kind of in general. And there's exceptions to everything. What you don't do is you don't go in and chew the team out or chew the player out because they messed up, on the last play of the game, or even, played like dogs and lost the game. Okay. Because, they're not out there trying to lose, they're out there trying to win. And sometimes the effort is better than others. And most of that goes back to their mindset, prior to the game and during the game. Some games, whatever the sport is, you just can't, as my dad used to have a saying, if the blood don't flow before the game, it's not going to flow during the game. And that's a good saying. It's you got to be in the right mindset. And this goes back to that listening to your headset and everything before the game. You got to be in the proper mindset, whether it be basketball or football. So, I once or twice I'd go in and we'd lost a game and lay into them after the game. And that doesn't work. Sometimes it might, you just kind of lay down the law. Hey, boys, you got to make up your mind, what kind of team you want to have here, But my God, that kid last night, shoot fire. He's a freshman. And he's just, I saw him interviewing this morning on TV while I was waiting on our show here, and you could tell he was just heartbroken. He was laying the whole thing on himself,
which is not true at all.
Which is not true. You got to go back and look at the whole ball game.
Yeah, it's not.
You made some great plays probably at other points during the game, and you had some guys that made poor plays. So you happened to make a poor play on the last play of the game, but that one play didn't cost you the game. It's a series of plays. So,
and the evolution of that final shot too was pretty brilliant.
Yeah.
The way so the steal happens, the ball is forwarded up to the right wing, and arguably
pass right back to the other guy.
Right.
And he
arguably UConn's best player passes up the game-winning attempt to give it to a more open player who, oh, by the way, is 35 feet from the bucket.
Yeah.
And who hits a shot that you're going to make 1 out of 10 unless you're Stephen Curry.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
It was just, you cannot in any way. Caden Boozer should never – I know he feels that way because he's a team guy, and it was his turnover that was a catalyst for that moment. But he didn't lose that game by himself.
No.
I saw a similar thing happen with a UVA game 2 or 3 years ago in the NCAA tournament. And I can't remember exactly the circumstances, but it was similar. UVA had the lead, and the other team was pressing. And the kid that got the ball in bounds, I'm thinking took it and threw it up in the air or something like that to run the clock out. The clock didn't run out. The other team, got it and bang, hit a shot and won the game. And I can remember this. This goes way back. Dean Smith, North Carolina was playing Duke. And believe this or not, and this was for the 3-point shot, I'm pretty darn sure. North Carolina, they were notorious under Dean Smith for coming back at the end of games. He would save all his timeouts, and the minute they scored at the end of a game, timeout. If they were behind, timeout. So I don't know how many they get, let's say 3. He called, score a bucket, timeout. Make a steal, timeout. you know. They came from 17 points down. No. I got that wrong. They came from 8 points down, I think it was, with 17 seconds left in the game.
Crazy.
Against Duke. And at that time, Duke, you know, it was Dean Smith was still coaching. And Duke wasn't quite the Duke that we know today, okay? But they were still pretty darn good. And from 8 down in 17 seconds. And heck, when I was in high school, we were playing Blacksburg. And Blacksburg was our nemesis. I'm talking basketball now. Blacksburg was our nemesis every darn year. Okay. And they had this was my junior year, and they had a really good player on their team. Rick Adlett was his name. And he went to the University of South Carolina on a full ride. And at that time, the University of South Carolina was in the ACC. And he went on to be a captain on their team his senior year on a team that did not lose a game in the regular season. Okay. And today, of course, they would go to the NCAA. At that time, you had to win the ACC tournament to go to the NCAAs. And they didn't have like 64 teams, you know, it was only 32 or 16, something like that. So here they are undefeated, and they lose in the finals of the ACC tournament, and they stay home with one loss. But anyway, going back to Blacksburg, they were our nemesis, and we lost. We were playing in the New River District semifinals, and we were playing Blacksburg, and Rick Adlett was on Blacksburg's team, and they were very good, and they went on to win the state championship. We had a 5-point lead with 23 seconds left in the game. And I'm not going to get into the details, but we lost. The game was tied up when the buzzer went off to end the game, and a foul was called against one of our players, and a Blacksburg player, I can remember his name right now, I'm not going to say what it is, and he went to the free throw line and made the free throw to win the game.
Wow.
5-point lead with 23 seconds left to go in the game. Okay. So, you know, those things happen. And, and like I said, they went on, y'all are probably familiar with Charlie, what was his name? He played over at Tech when they won the NIT tournament. He was from Harrisonburg. Him and Bobby, what was his name? He was from Norfolk.
Bobby
played
Hussey?
at Norfolk Catholic, huh?
Bobby Hussey?
No.
He was the coach, wasn't he? He was one of the coaches.
He played both of them. Charlie Thomas. Is it Thomas? Charlie Thomas.
Yeah.
Who,
Bobby Beecher. Bobby Beecher.
No.
I'm
Charlie.
out of Bobby's, coach.
Charlie. But anyway, both of them, one of them was from Harrisonburg, the other one from Norfolk, and they played junior college ball at Ferrum. At that time, Ferrum was a junior college, and then they both went to Tech and were the guards on Tech's NIT team. And one of them from Harrisonburg, I'm pretty sure was Bobby Stevens. Bobby Stevens was the other one. He was from Norfolk Catholic, and then by way of Ferrum, and the other one was Charlie Thomas by way of Ferrum. Those were the two guards on Tech's NIT team. I don't know why I even got into that, but anyway. So that's it.
It's cool. It's cool, though. Marty, how much I was thinking about Coach and what you're talking about the program. How much does that remind you when you go to Augusta, right? Because the awe, the vibe, the understanding of how this place is special. what you went through every day there with Coach, the hill, whatever it was, and now you think you understand the rules and how it feels similar to me, right?
There's just an understanding of self-accountability.
Yeah.
And what's so great about Augusta is if you're walking down the fairway and there's a pimento cheese sandwich wrapper on the ground, by God, you pick it up.
Picking it up.
You don't walk by it. It's just understood. You pick it up and you put it in the trash bin, put it in the receptacle. And everybody there has such overwhelming, palpable reverence for the grounds that it permeates the people.
Sure.
You have this unique way of being the best version of self there because of the understanding that that's what is the demand. And I can't describe it, man. Like so, all right, let me tell you a story. Let me tell you guys a great, great story. So a couple years ago, I was standing every Sunday of the Masters tournament, about 2:00 in the afternoon, when CBS is in, doing their broadcast and whatnot. We're watching golf for the most part and waiting until the end of the tournament to then get our marching orders for whatever reporting we're going to do. And I always do the final interview with the winner. That might be 11:30 at night. With Rory last year, it was about 11:25 or so at night. Scotty Scheffler the year before that, same deal, because they win the tournament, celebrate with their loved ones and family, walk through all the patrons to sign their card. There's a brief period. Then they come to the green jacket ceremony, on and on, right? And then they have a gathering with all the membership where they have some bourbon and have a meal and they take pictures with all the members,
sure.
Whole thing. So there's hours that pass before they come to do their post. They also do their formal press conference.
Yep.
We're like last. Well, anyway, at 2:00 on Sunday, 2:30, I will go down to Amen Corner. I will leave the press area and I will walk down to Amen Corner and I will stand in line at the concession stand and I will buy 2 beers. I buy a beer for me and a beer for my daddy. And I will sit down at Amen Corner by myself and I will drink a beer for me and a beer for my dad every Sunday. Because every year, Dad and I watched the Masters together. The very first one I remember was Jack Nicklaus, 1986. The Bears out of hibernation. It was just, the yellow polo, the whole thing. The putt on 17, yes, sir, all of it. And I remember playing in the yard with my buddies and Daddy walking outside and saying, boy, you need to get in here. You need to be watching this. Because Jack was 46 years old at that time.
Right.
So every year, Dad and I watched him. I wasn't a huge golf guy as a kid. I'm a sicko now, but as a kid, I wasn't that big into it. But we watched it every year. All right. So I go down there to Amen Corner. I drink a couple beers for Dad and me. Well, I was sitting down there one year. This was maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. I don't know. And I was talking, ironically, to Lauren Sisler, who also went to Giles High School. And she was there that day as a fan. And I ran into her by happenstance, and she was getting ready to write her book. And she was asking me a bunch of questions about like the writing process and being an author and the publishing process. And we were having a great conversation. I was sitting there holding these 2 beers. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at Lauren to my right, and all of a sudden there is a face right here. And I turn and look, and it is a gallery attendant. And I went, uh-oh, because he said, Mr. Smith, I'm going to need you to come with me, please. And I went, oh, no, I'm getting kicked out of here forever. What did I do wrong? It was a gentleman who will remain nameless but has become a great friend to me, who is actually the 12th tee box Amen Corner gallery attendant who stands on the tee box at the 12th and watches the gallery to make sure nobody gets out of line. And he had come all the way up through the gallery to grab me, and he said, I said, am I in trouble? He goes, no, sir. There are some members who would like for you to take their seats. And I go down there to the edge of the 12th tee box. The rope is going across my thighs. And I'm sitting there holding 2 beers, and I'm watching, all of the stars of the game come up to the 12th tee box. They're 2 feet away from me. Most gorgeous, like, you can't describe this experience. It's indescribable. Okay? So that sets the scene for what I'm about to say. 3rd year, I think I'm sitting there. Hideki Matsuyama. I think this might have been 2022 because I think Hideki had just won the Masters the previous year in 21. So Hideki walks off the 11th green up to the 12th tee box, and I see the guy that brought me down go over the rope and walk up through the gallery, and there is these 2 young boys. I'm going to guess 10 and 8, 11 and 9, somewhere in there, of Asian descent. He goes up there and gets these 2 little boys and brings them all the way down to the 2nd row to these 2 open seats right by the 12th tee box. And they're shaking because it's obvious that Hideki Matsuyama is their hero. This is a Masters champion. This is a gentleman that represents his country in such a beautiful way, is an icon over there beyond description. Hideki tees off on the 12th. Stuffs it to, 8 feet. One of the hardest golf shots in the world because it's swirling up there. And that air is swirling up top. Not an easy shot. And a lot of guys lose the golf tournament there. Stuffs it to 8 feet. Hits this massive beaver pelt divot. I mean, it's a foot long, and it's 10 foot down the fairway. And we're watching Hideki and his caddy throw the clubs on the shoulder, and they're walking to Hogan Bridge to go over Rays Creek to the 12th green. And my buddy, the gallery attendant, walks over, picks up that divot, folds it back over top of itself like a sandwich, and Hideki's tee is still sticking out the top of that divot. And he walks over with this hallowed soul from the 12th tee box at Augusta National Golf Club that has been hit by Hideki Matsuyama and hands it to those little boys.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And every single one of us in attendance that witnessed it had tears in our eyes, and some of us were outright crying.
Some of us.
That encapsulates the magic.
That's cool.
And those little boys, I almost said it. My buddy got those little boys, gave them that divot, and took them back up to their parents, up in the shadow of the grandstand up there of the stands, and you just watch those little boys. And my prayer is that somehow they got that back home wherever they were from, whether that's Texas or Tokyo, and we're able to keep that as a beautiful memento of this moment in time that, again, when you're at Augusta, you're watching it all through the film strip of your soul.
That's awesome.
And it's just a beautiful place, man. It's just the way they run it, the precision with which they run it, the way they are so good at advancing. They stay ahead of every curve while preserving the past. And that's really hard to do today.
Hey, Marty,
That's so
you're talking about something that I don't even know how to describe it. They have, over years and years and years and years and years, created this thing, a reputation and what in football or basketball we would refer to as a program. You got to build a program, not a single season or a single tournament. That's not the right word, but you say, for example, in football, you don't want to just have a good football team one year and that's it. You want it so it's repetitive year in and year out. It's a program. And same thing with what you're talking about there. I mean, they've got, that's not the word for it, program, but
it's really an institution.
Translates to the same thing.
There are certain sporting events that transcend their sport. And the Indianapolis 500 does, the Super Bowl does, the Masters tournament does, the Kentucky Derby does, the Daytona 500 does. I mean, there are certain sporting events that have just become such institutional must see. You're going to have it on your television if that's the only thing you watch all year in that sport. You're going to be watching that. And because because of the baseline understanding that whoever wins it is walking into history. And that was what was so cool about standing on the 18th green at Augusta National in 2019, watching Tiger Woods walk up the 18th fairway. And the place was unhinged, irreverent, in a way it's never unhinged or irreverent, because every single person there not only knew they were witnessing history, but they were a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And wow. I could go on for days. I could tell stories until we run out of oxygen.
It's awesome.
That place is special, man. I'm so looking forward to getting there again. I always do. And I just bow my head when I walk into place every morning. I just bow my head and say, Lord, I don't know how you got me here from Parisburg, Virginia. I'll never understand it. But please continue to use me as a vessel for trying to share the best of what sports offers. And that's the storytelling piece of people giving me their truth, whatever they're like. Look what Gary Woodland just did. I mean,
I was watching that on TV this morning about him. Good God, what a story, man. I'm telling you.
He's a coach. I'm going to tell you something. You would have loved to have coached him. He was an incredible basketball player who took a basketball scholarship to a Division II school, then left that to take a Division I scholarship to play golf at the University of Kansas. So he was an incredible athlete. And then he moves on. He becomes a major champion. And ultimately, 3 years ago, there is a lesion on his brain. So he had surgery to remove that, went through a lot of difficult rehab. And with that came a lot of post-traumatic stress, which he's been very open and vulnerable about in the last month, because it was haunting him. He would be standing over a golf ball about to break down. And ultimately decided and realized the only way I can vanquish and exorcise these demons is to put them out into the world and let people know what I'm going through. And he did that. And now he's gone and won a PGA Tour event again, has become a beacon for so many people. There's people in my life who are going through anxiety and depression and really difficult mental and emotional moments right now. And that guy is a beacon for people going through those things. And now he's earned his way. You know, he'll be at Augusta. And every single person on the PGA Tour, first of all, he's like the nicest guy. The nicest guy. There's a lot of people who don't take the time. I'll never forget when I met him. I walked on the driving range at the PGA Championship in 2021 at Kiowa. And the very first person that walked over to me to say welcome was Gary Woodland. I felt like an outsider. I don't want to say unwelcome. That's too dramatic, but I was a little out of my depth. And he walked off his golf ball and walked over to me, shook my hand and said, welcome. And he wanted to talk to me about college basketball.
That's interesting.
And you won't find a single person that speaks anything but overwhelming admiration for Gary Woodland. Congratulations to him.
That's awesome.
Hey, Marty, I want you to eat a pimento and cheese sandwich for me.
I will, Coach.
Because my mother used to make homemade pimento and cheese sandwiches in the summertime.
Love that.
I can see her now grating the cheese and cutting up the pimentos, and those were the best thing in the world. So eat one for me.
I'll do that.
You got to have your extra beer and now have a sandwich for Coach, man.
I will do that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
There's actually a little secret. My little secret is what you do is you take a pimento, you get a pimento and you get an egg salad, and you split them in half, and then you put the pimento and the egg salad together, and that is a Southern delicacy.
Okay.
Well, gentlemen, listen, this is true. This feels like reverence for me, and I know our listeners every month when we do this. I mean, to see you two together and everything, it's special every month. I look so forward to it. I know everybody else does too. So
thank you, my friend, for giving us the platform. And
no, it's awesome.
I enjoy this, and forgive me for going on and on and on certain things.
That's what we're doing it for, man.
Don't ever apologize. That's
just
what it's about.
I do. And of course, you got Marty over here. Marty, you don't know. I am so proud of you, and I know your daddy. He and your mother too, for that matter, would be so proud of you and are so proud of you.
Thank you,
for what you've accomplished. I mean, it's amazing. You've just done so well, and we are so proud of you. And you talk about Lauren Sisler.
She was just on the show.
She was friends with my daughter in high school. Not super close friends, but she overcame a lot. I don't want to get into the details, but she is one to be admired as well.
Question. She told her story. She told her story on the show. It was incredible. Incredible.
Yeah.
She has had tremendous fortitude to get through all of that, with everything that happened with her parents, and just
well, and
in a lot of cases.
She went to school at Rutgers.
Yep.
All right. And my daughter lives like 5 minutes from Rutgers. Okay. And to go from rural Giles County to what's New Brunswick, New Jersey, it's like day and night, buddy. It's a totally different environment. And just to do that as a young kid, and everything, that in and of itself is amazing.
It is. Well, Mart Dog, stay safe. Have a great time. We're thinking about you down there.
Thank you, my friends. I appreciate it. If y'all get a chance next Sunday, Easter Sunday, that story that I'm doing about going home to Rory's home golf course will be the big feature on Sports Center that day, the SC featured piece. I also I dusted off my pen and wrote a piece on it for ESPN.com, so it'll be up there as well.
Cool. Really
fulfilling. And I'll tell you, having sat across from Rory, I went to Bay Hill and sat across from him about this and really dove into the emotion of what he released by finally winning the Masters tournament 1 year ago and completing the career Grand Slam. And he, to me, is the most thoughtful interview subject in sports. And I think you guys will really enjoy it because it's about the human condition every bit as much as it's about the athletic accomplishment. So anyway, Coach, I love you. I'm so grateful for you. I thank you for your kind words, and thank you for being such a wonderful example for all of us. Every
Appreciate
one of us
it, Marty.
still
Appreciate
carry those lessons with us every day, and all of us still have post-traumatic stress from the hill and one-on-ones.
That's right. And you wouldn't
change. Rick, you're the man, brother.
My final words are, I loved every minute of it.
Yeah,
I did what I loved, and what else can you ask for?
All right, we'll see y'all in April.
All right, gentlemen. All right, man. See you in April. Stay
Good
safe.
seeing you, Rick.
Later, guys. All right, you too, Coach. Take care, Mark Dog. Y'all be good. Take care. Great stuff. Great stuff. All right, there you go. Doesn't get any better than that. And that's going to call the show for today. Thanks to Coach Rags. Thanks to Marty. I mean, come on. Coach Elmo, thank you. I know you've been watching. We'll be back tomorrow on the Tuesday edition. All right. Everybody take care. What a great way to get your week started, huh? Think about the words that were said, the wisdom, and, Coach's lessons. Even though we didn't play for Giles, I played for Coach Hicks in Pulaski County. It's a similar vibe, and it stays with you forever, man. And he's still educating us. Coach may be retired, but he's still educating us on a daily basis here on this show on a monthly basis. So thanks so much to them and to you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow on the Tuesday edition, everybody. Have a great rest of your Monday. Take care.